Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participant lines are in a listen-only mode. After today's presentations, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and at that time you may press star then 1 on your phone's keypad to ask a question over the phone. Today's conference call is being recorded. If you have any objections to this, please disconnect at this time. And now I would like to turn the call over to your host for today, Ms. Keneen Reeves. Ms. Reeves, you may begin.
Thanks, Brad. And thank you for joining us today to explore data.census.gov, the Census Bureau's new dissemination platform that is currently releasing American Community Survey data, 2017 economic census data, and in less than a year, we will release the 2020 decennial census data. So as we're getting close to the decommissioning and final retirement of American FactFinder, if you are new, we wanted to give you an introduction to the new site. And if you've been working with us for months or even years and you're more familiar with data.census.gov, we want to give you some tips and tricks as well as the answers to some of our top questions asked by our data users. So a quick outline, start with a short background on why we're creating this new dissemination system, how it's different than other dissemination tools like American FactFinder, and our development cycle. Then we wanted to discuss, after a live demo, discuss some common questions and give you some answers to that, and also discuss our transition from American FactFinder and finish it off with some Q&A. All right, so what is data.census.gov? I wanted to start here that for the past several years, the Census Bureau has been investing in this huge shift in how data users access data by streamlining accessibility, with one of the first goals to be able to search for all data and digital content available on the Census Bureau in one place. So right now we're still building the site. So this platform, along with all our new data releases, are being previewed on data.census.gov. But in the next year or so, we will integrate this platform with census.gov so that all the data will be accessible off the census.gov search. So, overwhelming feedback from our data user community has told us that people are having issues finding the data they're looking for when they go to census.gov, mostly because that data resides in various tools that we've created to release data in different ways, to show tools through tables or through maps or data visualizations. So our customers tell us they really do love this functionality, the different ways of looking at data, but that if you can't find things and it's difficult to locate, then it's not that helpful. So the vision is to not just take away these tools at all. We're going to keep the tools, but we want to actually take the best and the brightest of all of these functionality of these tools and apply them to all the data that's applicable. So things like those great maps from Census Business Builder, or the great table functionality from American FactFinder, those things are the things we're trying to make sure we get that functionality with all tables. So internally also, this new dissemination platform does help reduce redundancies and costs. One platform means one delivery for our data providers and helps with resources on our end. And then finally, the future of the dissemination of the data of Census Bureau is based on the Data API, which allows for cells of data to be pulled individually, but it also allows for tables or groups of variables. Where AFF only gave you that one table, this allows for different amounts of flexibility. So, for example, when someone's searching for the average commute time, AFF does offer up a several hundred line table. The API allows you to give them one statistic, but it also allows you to do the table as well as mapping or even across geographies. So the flexibility using the API is the real power. So looking at this diagram, the API is the heart of this platform. So we're utilizing data, metadata, geospatial services, and then releasing those data and services through census.gov in typical tables, but also through apps and data visualizations. So the Census Bureau hosts the API not just for ourselves, but also for third-party customers who pull our data in their own applications and dashboards. With the API being this foundation of our new dissemination platform, we are working to reach more developers and to make using the API easier for all of our users. So I think most of you are aware of how much data the Census Bureau has. And not only currently releases, but past data have already been produced. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of the scale that we're undertaking, not only to transition our data from American FactFinder, but also to work to incorporate more data and more content. So we do know that we aren't finished, that we have a lot of work left to do, but we are using an agile process of short spurts of building, then review and comments, and we hope to get things out of the data users regularly so that they can comment and give us a more of a customer-driven experience. So this agile process is not new to software and IT development industry, but it is relatively new for government, where we typically gather requirements, then we build for several years, and then you receive a finished product. But we don't want to build for several years, release it, and then have you not like it. So we are developing in 2-month increments, periods of develop, release, feedback, redefine, then releasing again, all to create this ultimate customer-driven experience. All right, so let's jump in. So I'm going to quickly show you some basics, and then we'll show you the site on the live site. So the first step of how to use data.census.gov is how to search. So we start off with your search. You have 2 options. The first one being a free-form search box, very similar to some of those larger search engines, and then also an advanced search, which is something you may be more familiar with American FactFinder. Those drop-downs, the faceted filter experience. Now, jumping into the single search, there's a few things that you can do to make that the most advantageous for you. So great ways to do a single search are commuting, or use a topic like commuting, and then a geography. So in this case, we did commuting Salt Lake City. We also can use table IDs. Now, not everybody knows their table IDs, and we don't expect you to. But if you do know them, we want you to be able to quickly and easily search for them and have them pop up in the ways that you expected it to come up, instead of kind of pouring through the data options that you have. So in this example, you type in the subject table for commuting, SO801, and type in Salt Lake City. You can also use some of the table prefixes, the shorthand that American FactFinder had, DP being data profile. If you didn't use it, it's okay, but that option's there, as well as for NAICS codes. So you can type in something like gas stations in Utah, or go straight to the NAICS, type that code in, and then for Utah. So for advanced search, it's definitely for more complex searches. So if you're looking for complex named geographies like tracts, or collections of geographies like all tracts in a county, those kinds of things, components, the urban rural, all of those things, including multiple topics, surveys or programs. If you want to say you just want to look for 1 year ACS for a certain year, you can do that. Population groups, excellent way of being able to look at something that's iterated. Population tables, it's a great way to go in and kind of drill down where you wouldn't be able to find that through our simple single search. All right, so there's a lot going on here, but just really quickly, just showing you all of the things that you can do from the advanced search going through, finding the topic you're interested, finding the geography, drilling down and finding the one that you're looking for. And then at the bottom, the selected filters, making sure that those chips or those selections that you made are in part of that selected filter before you click search. And then here's just an example of doing the same thing for the econ data when you're going through those NAICS codes. So instead of going through a topic, you're going through codes, selecting industry codes, and then drilling down all the way to gasoline stations with convenience stores. The next is the All Results page. This is kind of your first landing page you hit after you're doing a search. So it's kind of offering up all of these ways that you can view your data. So we start by having a selection on the top left of you can see all, that's your All Results page, or tables, or maps, or even pages, which are specific web pages. Now where it says 19.0, average travel time to work in Salt Lake City, that's what we call the feature result. That's that single estimate we're offering up. Not sure if that's exactly what you want with a commute, but with the open topic search of commute, but we're offering it up as an example or a way that might be hitting to what you're looking for. Now, not everything has a feature result available to it, but the ones that we have available, that's where you'll be able to find it. On the far right-hand corner, you see the geography profile. You can click on that, and that kind of gives you an array of information about a geography. And then scroll down, you can see tables and maps and other things. So we talked about that geography profile. Here's an example kind of showing you where you can find it through the All Results page. And then it just kind of gives you little snippets of information about a particular area. Now for customizing your table, so this allows you to, once you find a table, to open it up and then customize it, meaning you can change the year, you can add geographies, you could download the data, you could change the table view, maybe hide or transpose the data. You can view data notes, and then also in some cases there's links to FTP sites. And we mentioned about download, so there are two formats and two ways to download. Show you more in the live demo, but just giving you a brief overview of this. This is where you can go in, choose to download something, and on the right-hand side, when you download off of our site directly and use the buttons that say download, that's when you'll receive a flat file, a flat CSV flat file, where each geography has its own row. Now this is a machine-readable file, excellent for manipulating data. However, it is not excellent if you wanted to print out a table and show somebody that data. Right now we do not have a PDF option or a really nice printable, kind of downloadable table format option. But we have some workarounds, one being a download of doing an export table, and then later we can show you the Control P in order to print the table. But the result, it's not the same as a printout of a PDF, but it kind of at least gets you to be able to see the table as we're working towards giving you a better option. And then one other thing you can do, pull up those table notes to be able to see it within the customization. All right. So for mapping data, just a few things. Definitely something for you to go in and explore what the map features have, but just a few things. You can change your variables, which is a very nice option, especially we have so many different estimates. It's nice to be able to see each estimate in a visualized way. You can select your table on the far left, add or remove geographies, kind of manipulating things and customize the table. Under the customized table, one other thing that you can do is actually go in there, and if you're looking at something, this example is all states in the U.S., chose a variable of total public transportation, and then you're able to see a table view of that, which is very similar to the geographic comparison tables that AFF used to provide. All right, so now for the live demo. Please bear with me. Let me get out of this and pull up Chrome. All right, so here's our site right here. A few quick things to note. This is the single search bar. This is the entry point for advanced search. And then down here you have a few options for questions. These go directly to our FAQs that are available off ask.census.gov. Also some recorded webinars we have through Census Academy and some tutorials. And then that call to action for the CED.sci.feedback@census.gov. Your questions as well as your feedback is greatly appreciated. If you scroll down, it gives you just more of a view of tables, data profiles, and then down here, our link to our microdata analysis system. It's our beta form. It's a replacement of the data ferret, but this is an entry point from right here. And then that final call to action, asking for questions as well as any feedback you may have. All right. So quickly wanted to go over a few things that we talked about initially, and the single search bar. So wanted to talk about commuting and I'm going to choose Orleans Parish. All right. So from here, it pulls up exactly what we kind of talked about, that all results page. So it gives you an immediate feature result, that one quick answer, as well as the options for tables or maps. Scroll down and you can see more of the maps. And then right here, this is where the geography profile was available. So if you click on that, let me show you that really quickly. This drills down directly into Orleans Parish, giving you a map view of it, giving you our top 4 estimates that are routinely asked through our customer feedback. And then it goes into more questions about that mimic very, very closely our one of our most popular products and tools on census.gov, which is quick facts. So we're just trying to show a visualization, showing you the power of the API. You can click on here and go to different one of these suggestions on the side, and just being able to drill and look through this. It's not available for all geographies, but it is available for state, county, and then cities or towns. So let me go back. So this logo right here is a great way to clear. So if you click on that, you've cleared things. Now I wanted to show you B08006. Oh wait, I'm not typing. I'm sorry. B08006. I'm going to do New Orleans. And this allows you to go straight to that table ID. It offered up SO801, but for commuting subject table, but I know which table exactly that I want to use, so I'm going to go straight to B08006. And this is a great way to be able to do it. Also, for those NAICS codes, you're able to specify which NAICS code you're interested in, going right here, pulling up credit unions from the drop-down. Now, it offers up first county business patterns, but I'm interested in the 2017 economic census, so I'm going to go and click on that and find the data that are available from there. Some interesting things that are available from the economic census data and some of the economic metadata that they deliver are a lot of descriptions. So some of these headings have descriptions to explain a little bit more about what makes us, and then specifically what this code is, what credit unions mean. So some nice features right there. All right. So showing you search, the single search. So I'm going to go into advanced search. And when I do that and we find some answers, then we'll drill down a little bit more into the tables itself. I just wanted to show you to not be afraid of the single search, especially for your basic estimates or things. It's a great jumping off point. All right, so advanced search, I'm going to start by putting in B19013 right here in this text box. This text box is if you want to prescribe a table ID. Very nice feature in my opinion. And then going down here, I want to go in and choose a few geographies. So I know, keeping with my New Orleans theme, I'm going to take county. I want to do Orleans Parish again, that county equivalent. There's Louisiana. And then I'll scroll down to Orleans Parish. You notice the first time I clicked it, it didn't populate down here. So let me click off this send feedback just so you can see this better. But under here, the selected filters, the first time I clicked it, it didn't show it. So go ahead and click it again because you want to make sure that that chip is in the selected filters or it won't be part of your search. So let's go ahead and do state, Louisiana. It populated right away that time. And then I'm going to do a zip code. Now I'm not going to scroll through all the zip codes, so I'm just going to do a search up here. So each panel has a search. So I'm going to put in 70130. It pops up. Then I click it. It populated down there. And then I do my search. So it's thinking right there. I'd like to see it in the table view, so I'm going to pull it up right there. I notice that it's at 1 year, but I want a 5 year because ZICDAs or those zip code tabulation areas are only available in ACS in 5 years. So I want to make sure that 5 year is selected. We are working on making sure that that is that would automatically populate there. But until then, go ahead and make sure that your product is correctly being shown for 5 year. So here's your table. And then a few things from that table. So let me show you. Go to Customize Table. And here's the way that you can manipulate the table by hiding, if you wanted to remove some columns, if you wanted to filter something, or if you wanted to transpose the table. You can take the margins of error out if you really, truly wanted to, but I'm a statistician, so I'm going to put them back in. And you can also go in and add some more information, add a neighboring state or however you wanted to go from there. If you wanted to put in Texas, you can go in and then go ahead. There isn't an apply button, so you go ahead, making sure those selected geographies are there, click close. And if you look, Texas has been added and you haven't lost your information. You can also go in, if you decide you don't want this table anymore, you go back into the advanced search right where you typed that data in before, and you can go in and put B19001, click search. right? Right here, thinking for a minute, and there it goes. And it brings it up, and if you notice, it doesn't leave any of your geography. So you're still, those geographies, oops, reverted back to 1 year. So let me click to 5 year. Making sure your zip code's still been added, and it has. But that's a great way to make sure that you can toggle between table IDs without losing your geographies. Now let me show you what happens if you were just to type something in here. If you were just to do DPO5, hoping to get those geographies with DPO5, and then you get it for the United States. Those searches are separate. We're working on unifying them, so that's why it's best to go back into the advanced search. So just some tips and tricks to make sure that y'all are getting everything that you want as we're still developing. All right, so let me show you a few more things. Oh, within this table, let me show you how you can go in and download, select your geography, and download selected. You can choose whether you want 1 or 5 year or both, going from there. And remember, this is that CSV, that flat file. So we go in and download. Download now. There it is. So it gives you an option. Pull it up. There you go. So now you can see that flat file where the United States geography is just one. Again, excellent for data manipulation, but not necessarily perfect for being able to show someone that table. So let me show you what you can do. So let me get out of this Excel. From here, oops, no, I just want to get out. There we go. All right, from here, you can do a right click and do export table. So you can export to Excel. Now down here, and this export to Excel allows you to view the data. You'll have to add what the geography, the geographies are there, but any additional information as far as notations or reference periods. But still, it at least allows you to have something that you can use while we're still working on having a more presentable download feature like a PDF. So that's an option. Also an option if you just wanted to take this section right here, weren't interested in anything else, you can highlight it, copy the cells, and then go into a table, bring up a new one, and then go ahead and there it is. Back down. You'll have to do a little bit of cleanup, but it's a workaround for right now. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close the download. I'm going to go ahead and start from scratch. I'm going to do something like how about poverty all states? All right. So from here, when we see the 1 year, that makes sense. All states are available for 1 year. If we included something that not, we want to make sure that 5 years available. But from here, it downloads it pulls up the table. Work from here. One thing I didn't show you really quickly, it's the same thing, but you can download multiple tables from here. Same kind of way, and it pulls it up right here. I wanted to show you that really quickly. From here, let's see if we can go to the maps. So from the state, so from this map allows, if we were to go in, it shows you all states, so that's not as interesting as some of the other county maps that we have. So just looking at some of this county information, if you're drilling down, drilling down the wrong way, hold on. And then you can move, you can pull some areas if you're interested, have it populate from there, and then really move down if you wanted to use this as a reference map. So we're just looking into Kansas, and if you wanted to go down to the street level to verify your maps, we definitely use this for school district, small area estimates or school district boundaries. They can go in and verify. So that's just one option. If you go in and actually choose an estimate or a table and start pulling up estimates, you can start moving from there and zoom out a little bit. Taking several things. Again, it's at 1 year, so let's change it to 5 year. Ready for that defect to be fixed. And then just being able to view the data from here. If we go into customize the map, you can go in and see all different kind of options. If you click on this cog, it does allow you to change your color palette, change classification type, as well as the number of classes. And then it also, my favorite right here is that view table where it pulls it up, excuse me, and it allows for you to see in a table view, much like our geographic comparison tables, data within the table. All right, so this is definitely something fun you should go in and play around with. Still a work in progress, but something that might interest you to go in and check out. All right, so I'm going to hop back out because I want to have time to go through all of our questions that we have. So I'm back. The live site. All right. And let me hold on. Slideshow, that's what I'm looking for. I'm sorry, from current slide. Okay. All right. So back into the slide deck, our most common questions. I'm going to focus on answering some of these because, again, when we talked about it, it's a work still in progress. So some of these questions really do hit home. It's some things that are still being worked on. Some of the functionality that has to have a workaround because it's not finished or maybe has a little defect in it. So hopefully this gives you a better idea of where we are, because I know that you're trying to use this to use your jobs or for school, and we want to be able to, even though it's still being developed, have something that you can go in and access the data that you need. So first off, one of the big questions, what data are available? I want to start with that just because I don't want you to go crazy looking for something and you can't find it. This is a great thing that's in ask.census.gov available. You can go in and check and see what data are available and what aren't. If it's not in there in the site, it won't be in this table. So that helps narrow things down a little bit for you. And here's the link directly to that FAQ. And then later at the end, I'll show you our resource pages that kind of gives you another kind of one-stop shop place for these things, these questions. Another question we get about data specifically are where are population estimates. So pop estimates are not on data.census.gov yet. They actually are not going to be migrated over from ASS. They're going to be directly delivered by our internal data providers. So not just external data users are new to the site, but internal data providers and stakeholders are as well. So not only are they having to learn the site, but they're having to learn how to deliver to the site. So we hope in the next couple of months that we'll have population estimates in data.census.gov. Then they actually officially released, ASF was always a secondary systems for them. They actually officially released on census.gov. If you're looking for that data, please go ahead and look there. So there's a problem on the site. The first thing we always say is to make sure that you're using Google Chrome. That is our recommended browser. The reason for this is that we are focusing, since we're developing so rapidly, we are focusing our efforts on Chrome since it has the lion's share of our site as well as the market share. Right now, about 70% of our users are using Chrome. So it's always the first thing we tell people to go ahead and look at and make sure that you're using Chrome for your best experience. Excuse me, one of the big questions we have been getting lately, and one of it's because we've been developing rapidly and also pushing things out, is that sometimes users are getting a white screen. So I wanted to tell you about a little bit because I know a lot of y'all have emailed us about it. But we think that it's a combination of a caching issue as well as security issues on our end. So that's why it makes a little kind of a combination, so it makes it a little hard on our side. Last week we pushed a fix that we think has gotten to a good portion of them, and we hope to push another fix tomorrow. And so just letting you know, if you do get a blank screen, we hope to have that fixed soon, but let me show you some ways to go around doing a workaround. So first, as we always recommend, please make sure you're using Chrome. Then also a good idea is to close your tabs in your browser, try again, but also always clear your cache. It's just a good habit to get in, especially in these developing sites where things are being pushed, and depending on the caching system and service, they may be kind of lingering on your site. It happens to me quite frequently. In fact, before I go in to use data.census.gov every day, I go ahead and clear my cache just to be safe. So it's definitely a good best practice. If that doesn't work, we've found a workaround of going to data.census.gov/SCI, which is CEDSCI/advanced. Now, what that is it's bypassing the landing page, mostly because of the caching issue, bypassing the landing page and getting to the advanced page. If you'd like to get back to the landing page, you just go ahead and click on the logo, and it'll take you back to the landing page, or you can just start from that advanced search. If this doesn't work, please send us an email, and we'll dig a little bit deeper and try to figure it out. We've been so grateful for people who have called us and sent emails and let us know that there are problems and worked with us. Instead of just saying it's a problem, they've provided URLs, they've provided suggestions. All of those things are so helpful, and when we're trying to go in and replicate issues that are inconsistent. So we really do appreciate all those helpful people out there. So another question we do when we tell people to clear their cache is, how exactly do I do that? So one of the things, here's some steps. All right, to clear your cache through the Chrome browser, top right-hand side, click on the three dots. And then from there, you can go to More Tools and then Clear Browsing Data. You can select Cached Images and Files and then click Clear Data button. Another question we frequently get are, where are the checkboxes to select all geographies in a list? So what that means, and this is definitely one of our top 5 questions that we get. So when we have all the collections, we don't have all of those collections of geography that American FactFinder had. And what that means is collections of geographies being like one click to get all states instead of having to click on all 50 states and adding D.C. and Puerto Rico if you'd like that. Just being able to click one box to get those. Really important when you start looking at bigger things like all tracts in a state and those types of things. We've got some, but we don't have nearly as many as American FactFinder had. We are definitely working with the geography division to see what we can put together and to create. Some were some were created by AFF that isn't something that's delivered directly from geography. So we're working with them to give you what you need. But please be patient. Some kind of workarounds are to go to the mapping feature. You can use that grab button to kind of pull in some things and then individually select things if you'd like. You can also use our FTP sites or even the API to pull all of these data at once. And if there are additional collections that you'd like to see, please let us know at sudside.feedback@census.gov. Another question we frequently get, why am I losing my geographies and other selected filters? We touched on that in the demo, is that our searches are separate. So when someone goes in and searches for a single search and then puts a lot of things in the advanced search, the single search, they're not connected. So one of those workarounds was to be able to use that table ID. So this is the next question, how to change your table ID without losing the selected geographies. Because in the filters, you don't filter and choose a table ID, you just choose a topic. So if you have a specific table, if you type it in within that advanced, that text box, that's the best way to go forward. Here's some steps. Once you've typed this in, chosen your geographies that you're interested in, and then click search. When you want to change your geographies, you can go back into the advanced search and then go to that text box. The next question we get, how can I find the geographies for an address? People are overwhelmingly telling us that they miss the geolocator that's built within AFF. We definitely hear you, and we are working on building something. But until then, you can find your geographic information for an address by going to our Census geolocator. So here's the information here. Kind of wanted to walk you through this. Going to the geolocator address lookup, find the area that you're looking for, looking right here at block group data, looking under the address. We put in an address for the Census Bureau's Los Angeles Regional Office, kind of walking through everything. It gives you basic, and there's a URL that's been provided here for Tiger Web to find the codes that you need to add results for block groups or census tracts. And then the results being the information for your block group, your census tract, and then your county name. Excuse me. From there, you take that information, and then you can go to data.census.gov and select your appropriate geographies. So something else that ASF had that people really, really like were the specific ASF cartographic images that they had on ASF, but some of the questions of how can I download shape files, you can download through them through the Tiger Line Shape Files web interface. We have an FAQ that is available for that, but these things are available through our geography area, and it's a simple way of kind of walking through that. Another question is, how can I print my table? One of the things that you can do is to go in and do Control-P within the table to print the table for a few columns. You can also print those downloads that we created doing the cut and paste or the export to Excel. Another question of what are the differences in download and export, and we talked about that. Download being that machine-readable file that it's at the top, and the export being something that's a little bit more digestible. And then at the bottom is just strictly what you have cut and pasted into the Excel. Why are my geographies and downloads not in order? So many people are seeing that their geographies in the table view on the right-hand side of the screen, and the downloads are not in the ascribed sort order that you would assume. So for example, all states in the U.S. come back with Colorado first, if you see in the table, and then Indiana. And then the download, the estimates aren't in order. So here's an example. If you see in this C27003, estimate 17 comes up, you scroll over, the next one goes from there. So it starts with 17. So this is a result of a software change that is done to align with the Census Enterprise services. So the previous software automatically assigned alphabetical order as well as sequential order, and this new database requires that you actually add a sort to the calls. So the issue is that with the API, which is pulling individual estimates every time you put in a URL or click search, it's individually pulling everything from the API. So as you can understand, performance is paramount of importance to making sure that it's fast and that it can be accessed quickly, and anything added to that causes performance issues. So we're working to find workarounds. We're working with our database analysts to try to find a better way to apply a sort order and have these things in the sequential and the alphabetical order that you would like, but without suffering any performance hits on it. And we haven't been successful just yet, but we're still working on it. But please know the best way that all the data are there, it's just not in the order. Once it's been downloaded, you can go in and do a sort from there. All right, so next question, will my customizations carry over to download? So that's actually a great question. So when you download, when you go into the customization and you manipulate the data, maybe you take out the margins of error, and then you go in and do the download, which is on the site, that gives you that flat CSV file. That actually will revert back to the original format of the table. It will not keep your customization. However, with Control-P and the export and the copy, it will to different levels and degrees, but it will allow those. So one of the questions, what should I do after seeing download failed? So when you're pulling lots and lots of information, like something like the ZICTAs or the zip codes for all zip codes in the United States or all ZICTAs in the United States, depending how big the table is you're pulling. It's a possibility that the download will fail. You might need to try it again, but if it still doesn't work, go ahead and think about a few options. Maybe break your download into smaller pieces, maybe fewer geographies, maybe a smaller table. If you're only looking for total population, go ahead and just pull that one-line population table instead of maybe a huge DPO5 or something. Maybe get a smaller table. Also, uncheck the box for 1 year if you're just looking for 5 years. Some of the things that are available, as well as the downloading the FTP sites is a great way to do that, as well as using the Census Data API. So why am I getting a data not available message? So sometimes we have slow internet connection or response time for our API. Go ahead and click refresh. Click F5 to reload. That typically fixes it. You can go in and make sure that it's set for ACS 5-year. Like we said, I was always moving it 1 year to 5-year. And then you also, if data are not available, we do not have specific messaging in the site right now that tells you the difference between if it's an issue of not returning the data or if the data are not there because of a data quality concern or something from a survey or program. So we're working on getting that additional messaging. But if you're not positive why you're getting this message and you've tried it a couple times and you're still getting it, please copy the URL and email it to us, and we'll help you dig and find the answer. Another question, what about other error messages I see? So this is an interesting one. This is one of the things that was associated with the white screen. So this is more the security end of the issues. So if you see something like this where it was your requested URL is rejected and you get a support ID or the site can't be reached with proxy or the firewall, if you would give us a URL, a screenshot, any steps to get to the search, because unfortunately we can't, if it is being blocked by our security, we can't just unblock it unless we kind of dig deeper in trying to figure out, and that support ID is really important. So if you see those, please let us know, and we'll help you as much as we can. So some of the things we said, that if data.census.gov is not working for you, to go ahead and use the API. One of the questions may be, how do I use the API? So we've got some simple, easy ways of using and pulling the data, such as, all zip codes or even all tracks in the U.S. Without using statistical software, just by manipulating the URL. So in this box, this right here is our resource page. This is where you would find it. It's under census.gov, under the data main page, and what is data.census.gov. And if you scroll down, you'll find a section called Using the Census API, and it's some PDFs and how-tos on, and even some videos on how to pull groups of geography, maybe by just one estimate, or even groups of geography for whole entire tables. And the last one we wanted to add for you is something that we don't have in the API that we are working on. Right now, we don't have a call in the census or in our API that allows for all census tracts in the U.S. You can just do all tracts by state. So you would have to add each individual one. But this is a specific call that allows you to pull all tracts for the U.S. It includes Puerto Rico. Definitely, if this doesn't work for you, let us know and we can help you in any way. But we wanted to add that because that is a question we get quite a bit, and people have been able to pull it through the API. And in our documentation, we show you how to even change that JSON code just into a CSV file, cleaning up the table, and then it just, in the end, just looks like a regular table. And the last one is we get lots of questions on how do I use the microdata analysis tool. It is a beta, so it does need a little bit more instructions along with it. So on that resource page, we have some information. But through this, you would just go to, you could either scroll down on the landing page to explore the microdata, or you can go to data.census.gov/MDAT. And then here's that how-to guide on our resource page. Next steps quickly. I wanted to talk about the next few months. What we're really focusing on is improving our download capabilities. For 2020 census, we need to be able to download all blocks in a state And so that's what we're working on. And so we're building a more robust download system. We're also continuing to add those collections of geographies, maybe like all block groups and estates, one that's missing, some of those that we're really trying to focus and making sure that y'all are getting what you are asking for and what you need. Also looking into being able to apply a geography locator within our site, improving that print functionality. And as always, we're always trying to resolve bugs and defects and to improve our performance. Before I wrap up, I want to take a minute to talk about the transition from American FactFinder to data.census.gov. So you know that American FactFinder will be decommissioned and permanently taken offline March 31st. So that's next Tuesday. AFF has been a fantastic dissemination system for the Census Bureau. We are sorry to see it go, but technology does have a shelf life. And after almost 10 years, hardware is timing out and new technologies are coming forward. And the end of the contract is nearing. We could not continue to maintain two separate dissemination systems, so we had to end one and focus solely on data.census.gov. Well, we know that not all the data have been migrated from AFF and made available to data.census.gov, and not all of the features are available. So some of the features we talked about, but specifically the data I wanted to note. So on our resource page that I mentioned, and we have the link provided for you, is information where the data will be available in that interim period between AFF being shut down and then the migration over and being available in data.census.gov or in the Census API. So as this process is going forward, this table helps you to have an idea. With ACS, they've added actually a chart showing you kind of the different levels of where things are in the migration process. So it's not just the process of migrating data over from AFF to data.census.gov, but it's migrating it over, making sure it's available in the API and getting approval, and then also in data.census.gov and getting approval. And that approval comes from our data providers and subject matter experts, and this time is very, very busy. In 2020, resources are scarce, and so some of these things we're still waiting for, but we want to make sure that you're aware of where you can find some things in that interim period, so whether it's an FTP site, an API, or not. Also on this, it shows you what things are available, what aren't, and hopefully you can use that as a good resource while we are in our transition. So when AFF is taken offline March 31st, there are bookmarks of AFF. They will be prompted to redirect to data.census.gov in a series of messages. So please take this as a call to action to update your bookmarks and web pages with the new links to data.census.gov. There is a deep linking guide that is available in addition to helping create those new links to help you out a little bit. And with that, I want to remind you to let us know about your feedback. Our development truly is based on you and the comments that you provide. We have a lot of work to do, and we appreciate your engagement and bearing with us as we work to give you a dissemination system that really does meet your needs, and we hope in the near future it will exceed your expectations. So in addition to feedback, please, by all means, send us any questions that you have on the site, anything about the AFF migration. Please send that to our email address at sedsci.feedback@census.gov, and we look forward to hearing from you. And with that, here's the information for media and public question. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to Brad if we have questions.
Certainly. At this time, if you would like to ask a question, please press star, then 1. Please unmute your phone and record your name at the prompt. If at any time your question has been answered, you may remove your request by pressing star then 2. Once again, unmute your phone and press star 1 for questions over the phone at this time.
And in the time while you're lining those up, I just want to show you how to stay connected with us with webinars, tutorials, and feedback. The top line is that resource page that houses all of these links to this information, as well as our webinars and data gems. And please send us that feedback or any questions that you may have.
One moment for our first question. All right, our first question, your line is open, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Keenan. Thank you. Yes, the March 31st rollout of data.census.gov, is that going to be delayed due to this COVID-19 from American FactFinder? Is that online to do that with COVID-19?
The decommissioning of ASF will not change. It'll stay in March 31st. That's all contractually based.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And once again, if you would like to ask a question over the phone, please press star then 1 at this time.
Also wanted to let you know about upcoming webinars. If anybody's interested in that public microdata, how to create those custom tables through that microdata analysis system, we have one on April 2nd at 2 p.m.
One moment for our next question. Okay, our next question, your line is open.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I just wanted to know if we would be able to get not so much the whole presentation, but like the basic asked questions that you went over, if we would be able to get those sent to us through our email.
Absolutely. We'll have the webinar online, and if you want to just maybe snippets or something like that, actually, if you would do send something in the chat or send something through feedback@census.gov, we can send you something if you just needed a list.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One moment, please. And our next question, your line is open.
Hi. So one of the main things that my organization uses the American FactFinder for is to delineate between where addresses, the different municipalities that they reside in, especially since we have a lot of zip codes that overlap municipalities. And I was wondering, will you continue to have that information available, for example, the township or city that a particular address is associated with?
I believe it's within the geocoder. Tyson, I'm not sure if you're online, if you know the answer to this. If not, we can get back with you.
Yeah, It's searching, and it comes up with, I think, the county, but it does not come up with the particular municipality.
Right. I think that's with the codes. Tyson, were you on? I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, this is Tyson. We definitely have the information. The default with the Census Geocoder just gives you a few select geographies that you see once you enter that in. But if you just edit the URL at the end, the information was in some of the slides today. But if you email your question into us, I can give you the step-by-step instructions. But it's just a small tweak that you need to make to the URL. That information is also on our FAQs, but we can direct you if you email us.
Great, thank you so much. So I'll just email to the feedback@census.gov.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Feedback. Mm-hmm.
And once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star then 1. Please stand by. Once again, that is star 1 for questions at this time. One moment. Once again, that is star 1 for questions. One moment. And our next question, your line is open.
Yes, thank you. Could you just clarify how to access a replay of this webinar at a later date?
If you go back to Census Academy, you'll be able to go into webinars, and there'll be a link to recorded webinars.
Excellent. Thank you.
Please stand by for any further questions. One moment, please. Our next question, your line is open.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could tell me how much of the historical data will have been migrated over to the new system by March 31st.
So we're still hoping for some approvals before then, so I can't tell you specifically. We are hoping to get the 2010, the majority, if not all, of the 2010 migrated over. So it will just be the 2000 that we need to worry about as far as decennial goes. With American Community Survey and the economic director at the economic surveys, they have determined that those older data will only be available for ACS. The data 2000 and prior will just be available in the API, and then for the economic surveys, the 2012 and prior will only be available in the API. So some of it is still in work in progress, working to get approval to get into the site, and then some it should only be accessed through the API. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And once again, that is *1 for questions. And it appears we have no further questions at this time.
All right, thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate it. All right, with no further questions, if anyone does have questions, please send them to sedsi.feedback@census.gov. And with that, that'll be the completion of our webinar. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for your participation on today's conference call. At this time, all parties may disconnect.